question from Chris
E. Back.
What is the highest note that each of y'all can hit?
Like technically, like
I don't know.
like a G. I
have no idea. High
Not
as
that
hell.
high for me because I am
An
very,
alto.
Yeah, I sing alto. I'm like live in the low basses.
Who do you think I am? So I'm a tenor, and I remember that it was an F, the high F.
Oh, okay. I don't know what that is.
I don't know how to read music, so
Well, she can do like a whistle tone, like, so that's really fucking high.
Hi.
Colin B. Shakes asks, while replying in one word, but in a 4-part harmony, how would you describe Poison
That's
Ivy?
amazing. He said, "This is what I want to know, and this is how I want you to tell me." One word to describe Poison Ivy.
Okay.
What's the one word to describe Poison Ivy? Woo.
legendary.
That's exactly what I thought.
Legendary.
Legendary.
Sing it.
1, 2, 3.
Legendary. It's Danny Roberts' biggest guilty pleasure.
I don't know guilty pleasures.
Yeah, I got a
Fried-
lot of pleasures. They ain't guilty.
Fried chicken.
Yeah.
So my salty guilty pleasure is fried chicken with like drenched in sauce.
Yeah.
Facts.
That is facts. The studio.
And like honestly, if I had Nutella in this house, I mean that's why I don't have it, because I eat it. Like in one sitting.
You would. And then you'd be like,
Yeah.
so sick.
It's like no shit.
Guilty pleasure.
I would say marijuana.
Smoke weed every day.
It helps my creativity.
Why's your face like that? As I'm already picturing the editing in my head. Oh.
The weed. I smoke the weed and I get creative and I write
You do.
Songs.
That's a good one.
Why is it guilty?
It's not really, but people
something-
people have stigmas on
Yeah.
it, and it's something that's why I don't.
Well, I guess it can be done to excess, and so like
Okay.
yeah.
Food. All kinds of food.
It's a
guess.
guilty pleasure.
I guess. I don't know. I don't really. That's what I said in the beginning.
yeah.
I don't have, like, the way that I have changed my perception of how I view things, it shouldn't be a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
These are my pleasures that I dive into every once in a while to
better get
allow
analytic.
myself these things.
You know?
So like, everything is a pleasure if I allow it in small doses.
Let's
You better analyze.
So that's that.
See this bitch? I love her. Yeah, I'm like, maybe like really, like it, not intentionally. Shows and movies that I will intentionally watch because I know they're crap. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like bad TV, bad movies, bad, and I'm like, why am I still watching this? And like, why did I go out of my way to find this? But I do that.
Cat Girl Mina asks, who takes the longest to get ready?
me.
Diz.
define
The Dizz. Just Dizz.
I want to elaborate why. I mean, to be honest with you, it's because of my OCD.
Yeah.
I have OCD, and I get in my head about everything, and particularly when I'm getting ready, I tell myself that every element has to be perfect. So whatever that means, but perfect doesn't exist. But in my mind, it's like, okay, so your hair, and then your this, and your clothes, and your shoes, and your this, and your jewelry, and everything has to be in place. So I get stuck in these loops.
24 hours later.
Wow, that was like, that got...
And he talks to himself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gracexo, you mentioned before that you broke up for a while. What made you decide to get back together?
Okay, well, that started with me. It's interesting because when we first broke up, the four of us had a meeting at Khadijah's place, and it was like me and her on one couch, and Zach and Monroe on the other. We were sitting like this far apart. We were like, saying. And then in that moment we decided that we were
already broken up.
We were broken up, and then we had a meeting to see if we were
feeling
gonna
it out.
continue. And then I think like a week and a half later, we were like, so are we getting back together? And Zach and Monroe said no. So then Khadijah and I were like, okay, well, we're gonna do a new group, and we went off and did our thing. And then once we went off and did our thing, then Monroe came back and was like,
So, do you want to get back together?
and I was like, sorry, we're already in another group. And then another time I went to go hang out with Zach, remember at your old condo? And then I was, he's like, so what have you been up to? I'm like, oh yeah, Khadijah and I are doing this, and he's like, can I see? So I played him some videos and whatever. And
got jealous.
Yeah, and then he was like, he's like, so like, is there like no chance that we would get back together? I was like, no, because we're already moving on. And that was that. Then we were at a party. And Zach put me on a spot because all his friends were fans of rIVerse. And then Zach was like, so why are we getting back? Aren't we getting back together? And then everybody in the party stopped talking. And so I'm sitting on the couch with Zach, like, and they're all looking, and I'm just like, do you remember that?
Yes,
at Nick Burry's place. And I was just like, this is really fucking awkward. And then I was at Melissa's place, and then Monroe called. Do you remember that?
Wow.
You called, and I went to Melissa's bathroom, and you were like, so, like if Ellen called us tomorrow.
No, it was the same phone call. It was all in one phone call.
No.
It was because I was in Ricky's bedroom. I was at the apartment.
All
I
of
was
this
in Ricky's
name dropping
bedroom.
is killing me.
And I specifically remember me sitting on the bed and talking to you, and I was like, hey, so like I've had my time to think, because at the time when we first met, and he was like, let's get back together. We had just broken up like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So I was like, no. I was like really not in a good place.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, because I'm not ready. So then when I felt like it was okay, like I didn't know that they were doing a thing. Mm-hmm. Then I had called and I was like, hey, so like I've had some more time to think about it, and I feel like it would be a good thing if like, let's try again, like let's hash things out, let's work it. And he was like, yeah, so I'm in a group with Khadijah and like another group. And I was like, oh, okay.
And then you started crying.
Yeah, and I was like,
oh, baby. She did.
I did.
And she's like, so you're telling me like if Ellen calls us tomorrow?
I don't know why Ellen came to my head.
Because Ellen, before Ellen got canceled. But she's like, so if Ellen calls tomorrow, like you wouldn't. And I was like, well.
You were like, well, maybe.
No.
Like if it gets to that, we'll get to that if it comes to that.
I couldn't even finish my sentence because I was like, well, and then you were like, we will, and it's gonna happen. We're gonna get back together. Mark my words. You remember that?
Yeah, I did.
And I was like, okay, sweetheart, I'm gonna go now. Like, I wasn't condescending.
It wasn't facey.
No, it wasn't facey, but I was like, okay, because I felt bad, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And the whole time in my mind, I'm like, well, we're not getting back together because we've already started recording and doing this other project. And then, bitch, here we are.
But fast forward to when we met together in the restaurant, and
I feel
then
like
Waterfalls started playing.
Are we answering the question right now? Oh, what made you decide? Okay, sorry. Thank you. We almost didn't even ask the question.
Sorry, Grace.
So, I'll be quick. So, there was one time I was at my former partner's place, and he was cleaning, and I was just like on the bed, and he was obsessed, him and his family were obsessed with rIVerse. Even though we were in a whole other group and he was helping with that other group, they weren't listening to the other group, they were still listening to rIVerse. So every time I'd go see the family or anything like that, it would be rIVerse's music videos and albums. So I was sitting there like, having to see my old group that I loved all the time. So this one time I was on the bed and he put on the album while he was cleaning, and Glad to Meet You came on. And literally, as he played it, this is no lie, this beam from the window, like a beam of light from the sun, like hit me in my eyes, and it was like this, like, I have to put this back together. And then I, went along took the steps necessary to hit up everybody, and
just to have a conversation.
Yeah.
We didn't even say anything. We're like, hey, let's meet, let's go out for dinner. We're like, in my head, I'm like, fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so essentially, to answer the question, what made us decide to get back together is was really the music.
Yeah.
The initial thing was hearing the music that we had created before.
Yeah. You heard the music and you were like, the world hasn't heard this enough.
Yeah.
It's so good,
Yeah.
and what that was so good.
Yeah.
And it didn't get the chance to like shine the way that it needed to.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's sit down and have a conversation, and we all met at, what was the restaurant?
Fox and the Fiddle.
Fox and the Fiddle in
Downtown.
Toronto. And as soon as I was the last one to get there, and as soon as I got there and I sat down,
Waterfalls by
started
TLC
playing,
played over
which is the first song that the four of us ever sang together, and we were like,
Don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you used to. I know that you're gonna have it your way or nothing at all, but I think you're moving too fast. Oh, you're moving too fast.
And the whole time before that, it was only rock music playing on the so that we didn't think there were for that one like R&B song to come on like in the middle of all this rock music. When Khadijah got there, it was like okay.
And
it was
we
like
just
the
love each
rom-com.
other so much.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know.
Period.
Thanks, Grace.
Frida _slaves 27.
Frida slaves.
Frida slaves.
Wow.
That's funny, Frida. Have there ever been times where you wanted to give up on your dreams? So I can say, for me personally, that I'm very grateful that I haven't necessarily thought of giving up on my dreams. Like I've been
Close?
I've been like not optimistic, but it's like I just it's my dream. I'm holding on to that, and I'm like, let's do it.
That's amazing.
I definitely have. I've wanted to before, and one time I did, but when it's your calling, like it finds you again, and so yeah.
It's actually funny, since I started down this path of music, in my head I thought I was gonna be a dancer, like a professional dancer. That was kind of that was my goal in life. And then when I met Dizz, he's the one who like was like, hey, come be an artist and be in this group with me or whatever. And since I met him and started working with him, I have not, I'm like, if it happens, if like when we broke up or if whatever happens and we can't go forward, then I'll be okay with that. I'll make peace with it. But I've never once been like, no, I don't want to go anymore. And it's just because like I know his mind, firstly. Like I've kind of just always been following his vision, and I see his vision and I get it. So I'm like, no, we'll make it happen.
I definitely have. Absolutely. Definitely have for a period of time, and like I was going through some really bad depression. Like everything in my life was crumbling down on me at the same time. So I was like, well, the dreams that you had when you were 3, bitch, they're done. So, and because I don't believe in having a plan B, I literally was like, I have nothing. I have nothing. Like, I have nothing to fall back on. What am I gonna do? Like, I just lived in my depression for a really long time, for years. And I didn't realize the effects that it was having on me until after we got back together. And not that rIVerse like made my depression go away, woo! Like it's not that. But I just made the choice again to be like, no, like I knew from when I was young what I was supposed to do and what I meant to do, and that doesn't change. You're going to have hills, you're going to have, you know, very steep like slopes that you're going down, but like you have to realize that when you have a purpose in life, it'll always come through in the end. So, yes.
Thank you so much for joining us here on the rIVerse Live Variety channel. If you like what you see, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below.